Something I want to add into this video real quick is that if you don't understand what the ABS and what the ABS does and how it works, and if you don't understand what the Lspv is and how the Lspv works, you should not be doing this modification. I'm not going to explain why or how it works and why you should remove it. If you don't understand how it works, if you don't understand why what's the benefits, don't do it. Just watch the video for entertainment purpose. Hello and welcome to another Land Cruiser video project. And today's video is a brand new video for myself. I'm going to attempt to remove the ABS system on my 95 Land Cruiser FZJ80, one FZFE. The 95s through 97s, they all came equipped with ABS system. And then 91 through 94, I believe they didn't come with it. So I went ahead and read online on the I Hate Mud forum, and it sounded, read it twice, seems pretty easy. According to the tutorial on I Hate forum, we're gonna go off of that for reference. I'll go ahead and put a link of that forum page so you guys can read it too. So I went ahead and labeled everything already, just so that you guys can see it visually, and also that I can also remember it visually. So this is the ABS unit on the driver's side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the hard lines so we know what they look like before we go ahead and remove it, and I'll explain a little bit of it as I go. If I make any mistakes, let me know in the comment section, or I'll try to go ahead and fix myself. So let's start off with the ABS unit. What we're gonna be deleting is this big main unit right here, and when we delete this, we also have to reroute all of these hard lines. So I went ahead and labeled the hard lines. So let's go and take a look. On the top of the ABS, we have one that's labeled F. And if you look at the bottom of it right there, at the bottom of the line, they do have the actual label. So this one's called line F. Line F goes from here, which is the bottom one right here, and then it goes to the bottom of that T right there. Okay, that's line F. Line R, which is the top one, goes from here to the top of the master cylinder. This is line R. I actually labeled it R1, so this is line R1. I just call this R1. And then on the bottom of the ABS at the far end, there's the line called the front right. So this is for the front right tire, and it's this one here, and it goes from here to over here down to the wheels. That's the front right. In the middle, we have the front left. So this middle one is the front left, or the driver's side. This one goes here down to the firewheel. And then over here we have the rear. This goes to the rear lines of your tires. So this is R. So this one's R, front left, front right, line F, and line R1. We will go ahead and remove this T down here, this T that I showed you guys, and that one has 3 lines. It has the line F that's connected to the bottom of it. It has one line right here that looks like a U, which connects from the master to the T, and then it has another line over here. It has that line that connects from there to the bottom of the firewheel, which I will show you that. That line, I'm calling it T1. So for that line T1, if you go down here to the firewheel, right here is T1. And we're gonna go ahead and remove that line as well. And then on this T, there's only 2 lines. There's that T1, and then there's another T, which is the horizontal one. And that horizontal one runs all the way from here to the back of the Lspv And I believe we're gonna go ahead and remove that line as well. So down the video, I'll talk more about that. This is just a quick part one of where all the lines are and how I will be referring to each line so we don't get lost. So if I say that this line here goes from here to here, you guys will know which line I'm talking about. And if you guys are using this video as a tutorial, I recommend you guys go ahead and label it like how I'm labeling it so you guys don't get these lines mixed up. Brand new day doing the ABS delete on the FZJ80. Past couple days, I also went ahead and PB blast my bolts on the rear end of the Lspv and just on the brake lines on the bottom, so you can go ahead and do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and get rid of some of these cables or these rubbers. Just go ahead and move them out of the way, and we'll go ahead and plug these back in later just so we have room. And one of the first thing we're going to do is remove line R1. So if you guys remember, we label our line. So R1, we're going to move this line completely from the master cylinder and also from the ABS control unit. And then we're going to go ahead and remove line R, which is the rear. And we're going to bend this one, bend it, and put line R into the top of the master cylinder. So that's the first step. Let me go ahead and do that first. And make sure you get yourself one of these flare wrenches. These are made to go inside like that and then go onto the brake line so you don't strip it. You can try using a regular open-end wrench, but you have to be very careful. If you feel like it's going to start stripping, stop and go buy one of these guys. They're worth it. And these are all 10 mils. Remove line R1, take line R from the ABS, bend it, and put it into the top of the MC. So I got this one removed from the ABS unit, and then MC. Thankfully, these guys are coming out pretty nice. And I believe we're not going to use this line anymore, so we're just going to set this aside for now. And make sure you have towels, guys. Make sure you have towels ready for the brake fluid. You don't want this stuff to get on your paint. So we're going to go ahead and set this up to the side. This is line R from the MC to the ABS. I got the line R, which goes from the ABS over here, and you just go ahead and bend it. Be very careful. These are just metal lines. So I went ahead and did like a quick U-turn, and then it bends right into the MC. And make sure that when you're screwing this in there, make sure that it goes in nice and straight. Hand tighten it first, and make sure you don't cross thread it. So that's the first part, and then we'll go ahead and remove the rest of the lines, and I'll show you where they go. I removed the rest of the line, the front right, the front, which is on the top, and the front left. So these are all the lines that's removed. We're gonna go ahead and unplug this, and I believe we might unplug that one just for now. And then the ABS unit's held by 4 bolts, one down there, one over there, and then on the firewall as well. So just go ahead and remove the ABS unit, and then I'll show you guys where everything goes into. All right, so that's it right there. This wire here is just my LED lights, so don't worry about this. Move that out of the way, get that out of the way. These 2 plugs, they're on a bracket right here that has 10 mils. So if you remove those 2 10 mil, this bracket comes out like that, and it's easier for you to reach on the plugs and pull them out. So we'll go ahead and pull these out. These are the engine harness, so they stay on the engine, and this right here stay on the ABS. So you can go ahead and put this bolt to this back on. And this ABS unit, it's still good, so we're gonna sell this on eBay or put it on the Land Cruiser market. So that's the plugs right there. And we'll wrap this up later. We'll tie it up and electrical tape it, protect it. I had the 4 12 mil, so they're held by 12 mil, like I showed you guys. 2 over here, 2 on the firewall. This bracket is kind of like behind the canister, but once you get that out, this thing just comes out as a one piece, and you can just go ahead and remove your lines. Just kind of scoot them inside a little bit so you have room right here to pull it up. So we're gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Before we do that, it looks like there's this black box right here. So this box right here, it's held by 12 mil right here, so we're gonna go unbolt that real quick. I'm not sure what this one is, but once I find out, I'll let you know. So go ahead and unbolt that real quick, and then that will detach from the that's still connected by the wire harness. This is a wire harness right here. So with that little black box removed now, or unbolted from the ABS control unit, you can go ahead and remove it out now. This is your return line from your evap. It goes back in here. And what this is right here, this little black box is the ABS traction relay. So you can actually unbolt that right there. You can unplug it from those two wires and then just tape those two wires up. And then this piece here, you can sell it on eBay, do whatever you want to do with it. So we can go ahead and remove this out. So these two wires that goes to the relay, they get capped off or taped up. And then these two go to the ABS control module, they get capped up. And now we're pretty much left with this right here. So it's all nice and clean. I'm gonna go ahead and put those bolts back to where they belong for future uses. And then this piece here, I'm not sure what this one is, but we're actually gonna go ahead and leave this. So we'll probably go ahead and put it right here. Right now we have the ABS traction relay removed from the vehicle. This is what it looks like. We won't be needing this anymore. And this is what the ABS module looks like. It's pretty big, it's pretty heavy, about, I want to say 10 pounds. And this is what the ABS is right here. Crazy, right? So it stays on the bracket. Everything is still working, so we'll go ahead and see what this sells for eBay. And it looks like there needs to be, oh, that's nothing. So this is what it is. And if you do want to take this off from the bracket, there's 3 bolts down here, and you can keep this bracket if you wanted to like mount like an air compressor or do some kind of custom bracket. But that's what it looks like. So we have those two guys that we don't need, and then we also have line R1, and we won't be needing this one too, I believe. But it's always good to keep these for spares, because whenever you're on the trails, let's say if you break a line, you can always use these. And the thing about these guys is that you can bend them back, or you can bend them into any kind of shape you want, but you can only do it such a amount of time before you snap them apart. So these are always good to have on the spares. So here's what the engine base looks like right now. We're gonna tape those up later. I might not even tape these up. I might just zip tie them together like this so they don't move. And then these are the other 2 plugs. I went ahead and put this plug here. I just went ahead and zip tied it to the canister, and then I zip tied this tube here so it doesn't move around. And then this is my front axle breather too. I zip tie right here so it doesn't move around. And this is the evap line that goes into the canister. So pretty much done right here. The next step we're gonna do is right down here, there is a T-fitting, this T-fitting right here. We're gonna remove that. So there's a bolt right here, or a nut on this here, and on the other end, and we're gonna take that apart. And we do have to remove, we're gonna have to remove this line here, which is like a U shape. And we're just gonna remove it from the master cylinder side. So we're gonna take this bolt right, this end off, and then on this end here, you guys can see it on the other side of the T, we're gonna remove that line off, because that line goes down towards the LT down the bottom. So go ahead and remove that out, guys. We're gonna remove this out real quick. I got the U-shaped line removed off the MC, off of the T. And then I also got on the other side, the other line off. And now we're going to take the nut off of the T from the MC base over here. And then we'll remove that T out, and I'll show you guys what to do with it. So it's pretty easy to get to. This one's over here is a bit tight, but it's doable. Just take your time. Just lots of thread that's threaded into the MC. So with the 2 12mm nut removed, I went ahead and used a ratchet on this end. And then on the nut on this end, you can... there's enough room for you to put your drill in, and then the T slides in right out like that. So that's what we have. So we have that U one. We're gonna be using this line here, the U shape, and then the one that on the other end that goes down towards the firewall. I'll show you guys that in a bit. And then I think this one on the T right here, I think we might be using that one too. That's line F. And then go ahead and put these nuts back in, because these are the nuts that also hold the MC. So go ahead and tighten these back up, and we're done down here. So off of the T, we have the U one off. We're gonna be using this one. And then we also have line F off. I believe we're not gonna be using this one, so we're gonna set that to the side for now. And the next thing we need to do is modify this T shape. So basically we're gonna be using this T right here, but we don't need this big bracket, so it's welded right there. And according to the forum, we're gonna go and get the grinder, and we're gonna grind that out. You can grind it right where the welds are, or if you want to make it a little bit more bigger, you can just chop it like that. So we'll go ahead and do that. The main thing you want to do is don't damage this T. So just get this T off of the plate right here. So I ended up using my electric sawzall and just cutting the welds. It's still super hot right now, but eventually that's what you want to end up with. your T. Now, if you don't want to go with this method, I'm sure you can go to the parts store or some kind of specialty store and just buy a T that's made for the brake lines if you want it nice and pretty. But if you're trying to do it on a DIY, you can go like this. So now we have that. It's super hot. And go ahead and make sure you clean this off real first. Clean it out really nice and make sure you clean the inside. Spray some brake cleaner. We don't want any dust or any stuff like that inside of it. So go from there. And we will be using this part to connect all the lines back together. With the T all nice and clean, we are left with line FR, which is the front right, and line FL, which is the front left. These are the only two that's not connected yet. So all we have to do now is use this T, connect these two, and then connect the U shape into the master cylinder. Simple as that. You can do whichever method you want, but I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. And I'm just gonna slowly bend the lines and make sure everything fits in nicely and go from there. So super simple. 2 lines left and we're gonna bend them into the T. I have everything all connected. So FR, the line FR goes on top. We use that U shape, it goes from T to master. And then line FL, which is front line, front left, goes to the other side. So front left, front right, they get power from the MC. And then the rear line gets power from the top to the rear lines. Simple as that. Go ahead and make sure all your connections are nice and tight. Wipe everything down, spray it with brake cleaner, and then we're gonna go ahead and clean it again. And our next step is we're pretty much done with this section now. We're gonna move on to the bottom of the front driver wheel and go from there. And then we'll move into the rear and do the Lspv. So this is what it looks like, super simple. The front left, the line was on this side. So I went ahead and pushed it so that it goes on this side so that it doesn't rub, and then just kind of go ahead and bend it. It's very, very easy to work on, so don't feel like you're gonna break these lines. Super easy to work on. The main thing you want to do is make sure that you get them into the female section without cross threading them, because once you cross thread them, that's very bad. So take your time, make sure that it goes hand tight for at least 2 or 3 threads, and then go ahead and tighten them down with the wrench. So everything looks good. There's gonna be no movement. So when you see here, there's no movement. So if the vehicle is driving and it's shaking, these lines aren't gonna be rubbing onto each other, which is very important. So these are really good. So right here is good, good, good. If you wanted to, you can put a zip tie here, but not really need it. So look at that, already started. Nothing's gonna break. Driver's side, right under the wheel, you might have like a splash guard right here, but I don't have it. So this bracket here is holding up a LT. So this is a LT, and we need this T right here. We need that one. And also we don't need these lines anymore. So this T1 was the line that go up to the engine bay, and it went into the T bracket that we just took off. So you don't have to remove this yet. What we want to do is remove this line here. This line here goes to the Lspv, which we won't be using anymore. So go ahead and remove this one out, just like that. Take that out, and then take this bolt off, and then we'll deal with this outside of the engine or the car here. So with this 12 mil bolt off, this bracket comes out just like that. No issue at all. So this T1 line, we don't need this anymore. But again, like I said earlier, it's always good to keep these hard brake lines for spare. Even if you don't put them in your vehicle for trail spare, just put it in your shop. You might need them one day. And this line here, we don't need anymore. So if you want to, you can just leave it the way it is. Or if you want to get behind the frame rail and cut it up piece by piece and take it off the frame rail, you can do that. And I'll go ahead and do that in a bit. But also, look at this. We have room to our starter now. Look how much room we have. We can take our starter out and pop it out just like that. So go ahead, and what you want to do now is the same thing. We want to go ahead and cut this LT. So this is the LT. And again, if you don't want to use this right here, you can go to the store and buy you a nice one. But this is a DIY project. So we're going to go ahead and cut this LT and then remove this top line and put that in the spare bin. And then this bracket, you don't really need this bracket anymore. Before you guys start cutting this L bracket or LT, I recommend you guys use your wire brush, because you can get leverage on it, and just brush it off. Make sure it's nice and clean. And after that, we'll get the sawzall out and cut the beads for it. So That's it right there. For the LT, I ended up cutting it like this way instead of cutting the welds. I felt like cutting it this way just gives it a better look and gives it better protection. So cut it whatever way you like, but I went ahead and cut it like that, and this looks perfect. So this bracket here is trash, and let's get back to the workbench. We are now at the rear of the truck on the axle. This right here is your Lspv. So we're gonna go ahead and unbolt this, and then on this end over here, we're gonna go ahead and unbolt that as well. And a couple days prior to this job, I went ahead and sprayed some PV Blaster, which is something I recommend you do as well before you start this job. So remove this guy here. And then we're looking upside down right now, but right on your driver rear shock, this is the rest of the Lspv. It's held by one bolt here and one bolt right there. And we're gonna remove this whole unit. There's 3 hard lines right here. There's 3 hard lines. One of the hard line was the one that went to this L bracket on the front wheel well. And I believe it's the one, I can't tell by this orientation, but I believe it was the bottom or the top one, but I'll let you guys know in a bit. But basically we're gonna remove that line, and then the remainder 2 lines, whether it's this one and this one for sure, we just connect it to this T, this L. That's all you have to do. So simple as that. So let me get to some work and I'll show you guys here in a bit. So I confirmed which line it was. So the line that we don't need is this lower one. So the most lower one on the frame rail, this lower one, is the one we don't need. The one we're keeping is the one right here and right here, and it's gonna be connected to this guy. So get to wrenching. These 2 12mm nuts are removed, and now the end of the Lspv is off. I like to keep these bolts put back in place just for spares or whatever the case may be, so you can trash them or you can keep them for spare. So this side's done, and this is what this end looks like right there. Should have done this earlier, but it's much easier if you just remove the rear driver tire, because you're gonna have to bleed the brakes later anyways. So go ahead and move your tire, and then you can loosen the 2 brake lines. Once the tire is removed, you will have much more better access to the Lspv portion. And you can see here I have one of the lines off already with the LT, and now we're gonna go to remove these 2 lines. It's a bit rusty, so be careful. And again, this bottom one is junk. We don't need it. We only need this one and that one. And make sure you have some towels, because it's gonna lose a lot of brake fluid. So this Lspv is on a bracket. This bracket is held by 3 12mm right here, 2 going up, and then 1 going this way, which is all the way in there between the gas tank. Not sure if you can see it. So I'm not even gonna bother with it. I'm just gonna go ahead and take my axle and cut it right here. Once I cut it right here, this piece will drop down, because we're never gonna use it again. So unless you can get up in there, it's quite tricky. It's right there, that big, it's that piece right there. So that's the 3rd bolt, if you can get to it. But if not, then just chop it off. Cobalt hacksaw with the Diablo, whatever that blade is. Chopped it right apart. So that's what you have. So this bracket that goes up, there's another bolt that goes horizontal. And now this is your Lspv. This thing just comes right out, just like that over there. Now you can sell this on Craigslist or on Facebook to whoever wants it. 80 series parts are getting hard to find, so I'm gonna keep this just for the heck of it. But this is what it looks like. So this line and this line, we connect them together. This line was the one that goes here, that goes onto the T in the front. That one we're gonna throw away. So this is what you have, guys. So go ahead and tighten it up. I went and connected already, and this thing here can just hang on like that. There's enough tension where it's not gonna go back and forth and snap itself off. So that's right there. I still have to tighten it up, but once I tighten up, that's pretty much it. So now with everything all tightened up, make sure you go and bleed your brakes. Start with the rears, bleed one at a time, but start with the rears and then bleed your front brakes and then take it for a test drive. And also keep in mind that your ABS light is now gonna be on, because that's just how it is. If you want to get your ABS light off, tape it up or pull your gauge off and remove the light bulb on it. But there's no way of getting that ABS light off no more, because we have the ABS system deleted. Let me show you what we have all removed and we don't need anymore. We have the Lspv unit, which we ended up cutting the bracket. And then also we have the long hard line that goes from the bottom to the front right here. I'm gonna remove that once I'm done bleeding and once I confirm that everything works. It's really easy to move. We're gonna just destroy it and rip that out with the frame rail. We have line F, which we ended up not needing. Go ahead and save this for spare. We have line R1. This is a nice one too. Save it for spare. And we have line T1, which is the one that went on the T to the upper master cylinder. So we have 3 lines here that we don't need. We have the ABS relay, part number A8263-12080. Don't need this. And we have the rest, which is the main brain of the ABS system, the ABS control module itself. This is what it looks like. Part number 44510-60010. So this is what it looks like. This is all the stuff we don't need anymore. The last thing we must do is bleed the brake system. This is a very, very important part of doing it. If you don't know how to bleed your own brakes, you should not even start this project. This is my one-man brake system. Water bottle, that's brake fluid, not pee. Water bottle, and we're gonna bleed the system. And again, start with the rear, because when we get all the air system out, I'm starting with the rear driver. After that, we'll move to the rear passenger, and then the rear, the front passenger, front driver. So bleed your brake system, and then after that, we'll go for a test drive. Right after I was bleeding the rear driver, I was leaking fluid from the T right here. First one was leaking on the top. We went ahead and tightened that really, really tight. And then this one over here started leaking, and I went ahead and tightened that super tight. I was worried that the T fitting might have been damaged from the grinding and cutting, but it was just needing to be tight. So make sure you get these things super tight in there, almost to the point where it feels like you're gonna strip it, but it doesn't feel like you're gonna strip it. So just make sure they're super tight. So when you're bleeding your first one, come back here and check it out. Make sure somebody's pumping constantly, and make sure that it's not leaking, because this is one of your section. You gotta make sure you check here, here, and down over here, because those are the connections that you took off. And then also keep your reservoir always full. Don't let it get empty. So everything looks good right now. We're gonna go ahead and continue bleeding the rest of the 3 wheels. Here's the final product. Just got done bleeding all the brake system. Everything went smooth. Besides that T, we just had to tighten that because of a small leak. So at 230,279 miles, we went ahead and ABS delete, Lspv delete. And again, your ABS light is gonna come on, so don't be shocked, don't be scared. You don't have ABS no more. Now, if you wanna just cover it up, you can put some black tape and put it at the corner, or you can just go ahead and pull out your cluster gauge, and on the back of your gauge, there's the ABS light bulb, and I will eventually do that, but not today. I'll do that on another day. But that's super simple. It's not gonna bother me now. At least I know I have good brakes. I just went ahead and went around the neighborhood, and it's all flat level ground. But man, it does brake better. It doesn't feel, it just bites better, and it stops better, and it's not so slushy. Everything feels better. So I'm gonna take it for another test run. I'm gonna go up to the mountains and have some fun on this new brake system. We have just regular, simple braking, and if something ever goes wrong, it's all simple, easy to fix. You know, you don't have to go through the troubleshooting, no electronics, none of that stuff. So super awesome. And here's one more last look on the engine bay. This is the control center. Simple. FR front right, rear line, front left. Super simple. Now you have two lines coming out of the master cylinder. One feeds the rear brakes, one feeds the T system that splits into the front right, front left. Super simple. And look at all this room here. Much more room to access your igniter, more room to access your shocks, more room to access down here on the oil filter. Much better, guys. I might consider deleting the canister in the future, but that will be another video to talk about. But so far, super fun project. The last thing I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and remove that last line, the one that goes from here all the way to the Lspv. But overall, guys, that's a quick how to delete your ABS system on the Land Cruiser FZJ80 and the Lspv. And again, this is not my credit. This is just me reading the forum on I Hate Mud. So make sure you guys check out that thread. I'm just transferring that knowledge into this video. So for all my visual learner, you guys can learn it yourself. This is my first time doing an ABS. If you guys got any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And I love it, guys. It's super easy. I didn't spend any money doing anything. Everything that you need is already in the vehicle, and just requires you bending some stuff. Overall, this project took me about 3 hours, but again, I'm taking my sweet time doing this and also filming it as I go. So hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.